All right. I reckon I'm set. G'day, Big Red. Big Red Sky. Good to see you. I thought I'd just give it a couple of minutes. What's it been? 4 minutes. Just to let any early adopters who caught the link to drop in, and then made use of the self-promotion pages on a couple of Discord channels where people graciously allow others to post links to their videos. Still haven't figured out how to get everything set up with the link and everything before I go live. I seem to have to go live so I can get hold of the YouTube link to start dropping. Otherwise, I'm just dropping the StreamYard link, which means people are getting links to panel rather than to the actual video itself. So just a little bit of what's going on. Found out, was feeling a bit crook yesterday, and was feeling really crook actually. And I thought, hang on, there's something going on here. So spent most of the day on the couch. It was Sunday. And then was lying in bed and thought, nah, something's not right here. I think I better do a little one of those tests in the morning. You know the test where you swab your nose and you put it in the little vial and you drop it on the what looks like a pregnancy test? Yeah. So it turns out I'm going to be off work for a few days. Feeling pretty shabby, but regardless, if I'm going to be... yeah, Silver. I was just explaining, actually. Yeah, I was just explaining. I was feeling crook yesterday, pretty crook. Spent most of the day on the couch. Did one of those little tests that you do at home. Rub your nose and all that, yeah. So I'm going to be off work for a few days. Still feeling pretty shabby, but I thought rather than hanging around the house all day and feeling sorry for myself, I'll make use of the time. I've got a debate coming up on the 26th with the original Vintage on Speakeasy's Swords of Reason. We're going to be debating, the topic is first, the activities of First Amendment auditors leads to an increase in domestic terrorism. Original Vintage is arguing yes, and I'm arguing no. So there's quite a bit to review. I've got to get going to have to go through a few of the amendments on the American Constitution, in particular the first, second, and fourth. Going to have to make myself more acquainted with those, and going to have to build a logical argument. I think there's a paucity of data on something like that. How you're going to get data? There's no studies, I believe, to link those two. If they were, they're going to be correlational, so they got limited use anyway. So the arguments are probably going to be more like a philosophical type thing, where we're going to have to reason our way to he'll have to reason his way to a connection. I'm going to have to reason that there is no connection. It's going to be interesting. I've done some cursory research. I've been to the FBI website and been looking up. You go to okay. I'm probably on the list. I've been searching on the internet about domestic terrorism, so that should be fun. I think it'll be good. But I want to come well prepared. So actually having a few days off work, that kind of works out. As long as I can, not feel too sorry for myself and get my ass into gear, we'll do a bit of work over the next few days and get well prepared. Yeah, Silver. Yeah, crook. I've felt crook all day. Crook means ill, not well. So create Aussie to American. Probably ill. Ill's probably the term, unless there's something else that would be more appropriate. So let's have a look. So what I thought I'd do today, rather than get too heavy into, I don't want to give away too much before the debate. Not that we're going to get loads of people over here. I don't know if Original Vintage knows my channel. I don't mind if he sees what I'm up to in preparation, but so there's a number of aspects I need to become more familiar with before I start tying them together or showing how they aren't connected. One is, what are First Amendment auditors, and the other is what is domestic terrorism. And I think that the American Constitution is going to feature pretty heavily. Well, the First Amendment auditors, of course, it is. So that's going to be a thing. And Silva, yes, Krank in German. I believe a hospital in German is called a Krankenhaus or something, because the Germans are just ace at making up scary words. You've got to go to the Krankenhaus. Yeah, Silva, thanks, mate. Probably going to be a few days. Only kind of hit me yesterday, so the boss told me to stay away until the end of the week. We're supposed to be having a work fishing trip on the weekend, so he said just stay away from work and until Friday, see how you feel. There are some big Supreme Court cases. Yeah, I know. I've seen a bit of that, Big Red. Like 15 feet or something. But one of the significant things where the First Amendment auditors come into their own is when the cops try to, like the Supreme Court has literally ruled on these things. Things like filming inside government buildings, filming the police in the course of their duties, or standing on a corner holding up a sign. It's not grey. It's the Supreme Court has literally ruled. It's not case law in the sense of common law, like in Australia. The Supreme Court has brought down judgments, made judgments in relation to the Constitution. So it's constitutional rights, right? So I thought what I'll do, I'm going to run through. I don't know how long. I don't want to bang on about the point. I don't know how long I can stream. My voice is already a bit croaky, and but we'll see. I thought what I'll do, I'll pick one. I think what's the most basic First Amendment audit I've seen. This is a review that someone's doing of someone else, but the reviewer isn't saying much. So there's plenty of footage of just this guy. So the backstory is, there's auditors who try to hassle people. They act like pricks, and they sort of go into buildings and they hassle old ladies working behind the counter at the DMV, stuff like that. That's going to be the main criticism, I reckon, against First Amendment auditors, is that they want to get likes, they want to get views, there's nothing wrong about that per se. I mean, I've seen guys, for example, you can't make the claim that wanting to get views and to promote your work is in and of itself a bad thing, right? Otherwise, everybody on the internet would be guilty of that, of doing a bad thing. Say, for example, I watch a couple of channels every now and then that go after the PDF files. They do stings and stuff like that. Of course, they promote what they're doing. And of course, they want likes and clicks because it promotes their work, which helps them fund doing more of that and getting more of these people off the streets. But there's a range of auditors. There's guys who do simple stuff, and there are guys who do more complicated stuff. I thought this one was a really simple one, and it really highlighted, especially the attitude of the female cop. So basically, the backstory is, I'll bring it up in a second. The backstory is there's a guy standing on the corner on the sidewalk, you call it. We call it the footpath. So I'll use those two words interchangeably. He's standing on the sidewalk and he's filming around the street. Happens to be in front of a bank. And then completely protected under the Constitution. But it draws the attention of some people who then ring the police. And the police with the classic, I got a call, right? I got a call, ergo, give me ID. It doesn't work that way. So I think this guy's not antagonistic. He's very cool. He's just exercising his rights, and we'll see how it goes down. I'll see if I can just share this screen here. And I will stop it fairly frequently because I want to go into a deep dive. So forgive me if you want to see it rolling out, and I'm kind of interrupting. I just kind of have to because I'm breaking this down. All right, let's see what we got. That looks pretty good. And Silver, yeah, that's right. As long as it's the real deal. But there's going to be people argue over what the real deal is. People think sometimes just exercising your rights, like why upset people? You know, if you're walking down a shopping mall and you're videotaping, or like a high street, like where there's cafes and shit, even if you're standing outside and filming, just gathering some stuff that you want to watch later or whatever, and people are upset by it, there are people who say, oh, you shouldn't do it, you know, why do you have to cause a fuss? Well, I'll argue that there is a reason. It goes to the government overreach through institutions like the police, or even through places like the DMV, or you know. But we'll see. Let's play this for a little bit. I'll see if I've got some volume. Let me know in the chat if you wouldn't mind, guys, if the volume's okay or if it's bad.
They're placed by an auditor and her boss, and that's all coming up right now. Her body cam begins with her cussing like a sailor and bragging to dispatch what she's going to do to the dude that she's fixing to go on a call about. A dude that's peacefully taking pictures and recording from a public sidewalk. Watch how she messes this all up.
Yeah, this dude's casing these banks.
Okay, got it. The very first line, I've got to pull it up. This is why this matters, what the guy's doing. She's rolling up. They got a call. She's rolling up. And the first thing out of her mouth is, this dude's casing a bank. And he's cased another one. That attitude is completely wrong. And first of all, if a bloke wants to rob a bank, which in this day and age is a stupid thing to do, and he's casing it, why is he standing out on the corner in broad daylight, drawing attention to himself? Like, you see how retarded the mentality has to be that she thinks that? So what she's doing is she's justifying the fact that she's about to violate his constitutional rights by saying he's casing. We'll see.
So we might want to call robbery if we get him in custody.
Is there another call in there?
Yeah. Lord. So this one at 82nd Ward Parkway. It's the exact same.
All right. So what are the lights for? The lights and sirens. Is this an emergency? She said we better get robbery involved in case we have to take him in. So is she talking about like a division? So literally a guy standing on a corner, a street corner, taking video, and the cops are coming in with lights and sirens. They're setting up other units to get there. She's already expressed the thought that she thinks he's casing the place.
Same thing, because the dude, they said, is taking videos of like cars and the bank. He has a straw hat. Same thing on this one. So I believe the call at 8520 Ward Parkway is going to be the same party in regard to our call. black male, white t-shirt, gray pants, straw hat. What's going on, sir?
How you doing? Can I get your name and badge number just so I know who I'm speaking to?
Yeah, it's Officer Hall in 5826.
How you doing, sir? Can I get your name and badge number just so I can know who I'm speaking to? Right here. I don't want to butcher it. How do you say that?
That's an approach I've seen often from First Amendment auditors. Some of them get a bit carried away with it, but you see how he's kind of not taking control of the situation, but he's flipped the script. Can I have your name and badge number? Now, I believe the reason for that is, first of all, he knows that most police departments, it's their policy that when they make a consensual approach to a member of the public, that they identify themselves. So the weird, funny thing is, it always turns into the cops demanding ID because they want to find, outstanding warrants and shit like that. But they're often reluctant to identify themselves. Like this guy, this cop, they'll point at their badge and go, "My name's there." And the guy goes, "Well, can you say it for me so I don't butcher it?" Or someone else says, "What if I can't see properly? What if I haven't got my glasses?" And they go, "No, it's there. There's my badge number. There's my name." So straight away, they're setting up this dynamic where they want to assert authority. Now, keep in mind, unless a crime has been committed or you have reasonable suspicion a crime's been committed, I know it's RAS, but I'll just say reasonable suspicion, the cop has no authority at all over you. The cop is just another citizen, and so are you. So they always try to assert this authority, and they get real butthurt when they don't have that, when they don't get the feedback that tells them they have authority. And Big Red, just before we go on, yeah, I'm familiar with, thanks man, I'm familiar with James Freeman and Amagansett. Amaganssett's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one because he runs it as a travel show. And it always ends up with First Amendment issues with police. But a lot of police rock up and say, "G'day, man. It's good to see you. Love your work."
Hey, what's going on? Why are you out here filming all this?
I'm first, let me ID this guy, like his policy says. Can I get your name and badge number, sir, please? Thank you so much for being professional. How can I help you guys?
Well, we got called here because you're videotaping stuff, and they asked you to leave, and you have not.
I didn't go on their property or on their property.
Okay, well, we also received another call from another bank of you doing the exact same thing about 30 minutes ago.
Okay, on the sidewalk.
So what are you doing?
I'm recording.
Why?
I let the guy know I'm an independent journalist gathering content for a story.
What's your story?
I have no ill intent. I'm not on you guys' property. I'm on the sidewalk.
Well, what's the story?
I told him I can't say it's not published yet.
Okay, but do you understand how it's weird
Absolutely
to
not.
film a bank?
Absolutely not. Do you understand how it's legal for me to record on the public sidewalk?
Okay, well,
Why
they're
would
saying
you
they
tell
asked
me
you to
that?
leave, and you would not.
Because I'm on the public sidewalk.
You're still in the parking lot.
I'm on a public sidewalk.
Own all the way.
Sir, I'm on. Can I get a supervisor right here, please? Let's get a supervisor.
Okay, well, we need to get your information.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So the it's interesting. She's saying, "Isn't it kind of weird?" Weird isn't a crime. So what they often say is, "We got a call about someone suspicious," and sometimes the auditors ask, "Is suspicion a misdemeanor or a felony?" Suspicious isn't a crime. What the cops are supposed to do is come out and investigate, which means they could go into the bank. They could ask for camera footage. I'm sure the bank has indoor and outdoor footage. They should investigate. But you watch how this unfolds, it's all asked about. And Big Red, yep, she got some serious girl boss attitude. And, well, the topic of female cops is probably a subject for another day. Maybe I'll do one of those. I'll do a expose of the comedy that is female cops. That's a good idea, actually. That's a good idea. Have to make a note of that one.
Don't put your hands.
Hey, this is an illegal detainment.
It's not. You're not under arrest. You're
Let's
just
get
being
it civilized.
detained.
And you stopped my camera.
Okay, there's so much going on. First of all, this is not an illegal detainment. It's an illegal arrest. They're going to claim, we're not arresting you, we're detaining you. You're handcuffed with your hands behind your back, a copper on each side of you. That's an arrest. And he's right, it is an illegal arrest because there is no, what do they call it, probable cause?
Hey, look, body cameras are
That's
capturing
illegal,
everything.
but yeah, you stopped my camera. Let's get a supervisor out here.
I will.
Why'd you stop my camera?
Listen, this entire thing is
But
captured on
why'd
body
you stop
camera.
my camera instead of just sitting it down?
Wait, man, you can't stand outside someone's
You can't too on a public sidewalk and it's an illegal detainment, boy. You guys are in trouble.
So why were you doing this at the other bank too?
I let them know I'm an independent journalist gathering content for a story on a public sidewalk.
Okay, well
No
now you've had
expectation of
two
privacy.
different businesses
That's
call on you.
absolutely fine. This is what I do.
Did you guys ask him to leave?
Sorry, I was mute. I didn't realize. Yeah, Silver, yes, it is almost bait for bad cops. Because the actual correct response would be if somebody in the bank rang and said, oh, there's a guy out on the footpath or the sidewalk filming, and the 911 person said, well, what's he doing specifically? And they go, oh, he's filming. Okay, what else is he doing? Nothing. He's just standing there filming. The response really should be, well, that's not illegal, so there's no reason to send cops out. But what happens inevitably is somebody will walk past, they'll walk into the bank and they'll complain to the bank and say, oh, he was out there harassing me. He was putting the camera in my face, which he wasn't. But they'll call the cops and say that. Then you've got an accusation of harassment. Fair enough, the cops come out. But the cops should come out and investigate, not put the guy in handcuffs. They could say, what are you doing? And he has the right to say, none of your business. Excuse me, bit of a cough. He's got the right to say none of your business, but he might say, well, he does. I'm here filming for a story. I'm an independent journalist. Fair enough. The cops should say, okay, thanks. No problem. See you later. There's no issue. If they feel they're not convinced, well, the guy's going to tell them, I've got footage. I've been filming the whole time. Until the cop turned his phone off, which, by the way, is also a violation of his constitutional rights. Or they could go into the bank and check. But it should be, what are you doing? I'm a journalist. I'm standing on the sidewalk. Haven't been in their building. Okay, thanks, sir. We appreciate it. And now, over the next hour, when somebody else rings up and says there's a guy filming, they can say, yeah, we spoke to him. He's fine. But then there's going to be the contentious thing, well, we need your information. No, you don't.
He was on the sidewalk. I tried, but unfortunately, I can't do nothing. He's on the sidewalk. I just stood there right next to him.
You see, he knows. Security guard knows.
Another bank just called on him 30 minutes prior. So, do you know what vehicle he showed up in?
No idea.
Because he obviously had to have, because it was way down at Ward Parkway.
Like I said, guys, I'm going through this bit by bit. It's a bit of prep for my debate. I really want to break it down. Today, I'm just looking at one auditor and looking at what they do and why they do it and how they do it. Of course, why do you think she wants to know which vehicle he came in? If you watch this along a little bit, she's desperate to find out which vehicle. Oh, we know why. because he won't give ID and she wants to run his plates. Which also creates problems because look, he might be driving his brother's car. The person the car is registered to isn't necessarily the person who owns it or the person who drives it. Right? If the cops pull over my daughter in her car and run the plates, or run the plates on my daughter's car, it's registered to me. So it adds more complication. I saw one where a cop ran plates. The registration said it was registered to a white woman and the guy driving it was a black man. And that was their reason for pulling him over. Yeah, Silva, I thought the same thing, but she points out that half an hour ago he was reported by a different bank like a long way away, so he had to have driven or at least got a lift. That's the other thing. Like he might have got a lift there.
Gosh. Hey, don't let him.
Don't let me record.
You're being detained right now. And I said this is all captured on body camera.
Okay.
So. Negative.
Everything this chick says is a fucking administrative red flag. Old mate's complaining because she turned off his camera. He was recording, and before she put him in handcuffs, she could have put the camera down and just let it run, but she switched off his camera. Now, then she says, "Don't worry, it's all recorded on body cam." So it's okay for her to record, but not for him. And there's a difference between going home and having access to your own video that you can review immediately and having to go through the process of requesting and paying for body cam footage. And there have been cases where people have tried to get the body cam footage and it somehow mysteriously got deleted. Or they hold off and make it as hard as they can for you. This is why I think First Amendment auditors do draw attention to something, which is overreach by the police as an arm of the government. Wasn't that the whole point of the Constitution, like the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the Fourth Amendment? Was so that the government can't form a tyranny by stopping you from criticising them, from eliminating transparency in government activities.
So, what was this gentleman doing?
When a customer came in and said that he was harassing her out here and recording, facing in the branch, which you cannot do because of security measures,
Right.
I came out and said, "Hey, you need to stop recording and leave our property." And he refused.
Okay, there's two things to say there. First of all, there's two accusations. The first accusation is that he was harassing someone. Okay, that's an accusation. Now, the definition of harassment is quite specific. First of all, he didn't. He was just standing there recording, but someone got butthurt about it. But there's an accusation they're supposed to investigate. They're supposed to investigate if this guy was repeatedly, with bad intentions, harassing someone. Accusation one. The second one was he was in here. He was in here in our property. Well, first of all, you can't break a trespass law until you're trespassed. If he went in there and they said, "You can't do this, get out," and he left, that's not trespass. But as you'll see, he didn't even go in there. They're all lying. It's so funny how such a simple thing escalates.
He said, "I'm on a public sidewalk." I said, "No, you're on our property.
Mm-hmm.
You need to leave."
Right.
He said, "No, I have a right to be here." And I said, "You need to stop recording." He refused. I said, "I will call security." So I went in to call security. These two came out to talk to him to try to get him to leave. Stop recording, just to leave.
So the weird thing is, he was just doing this 30 minutes ago at another bank off of Ward Parkway or Warnell. I'll have to look.
Was it a U.S. bank?
It was something security.
Okay, First Security.
But Can I get your last name
Barker,
and your first name?
Jillian,
You spell it?
Jillian,
J-I-O.
Jill.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I had this earpiece and it's so hard for me to hear sometimes. J-I-L-L-I-A-N, Jillian. Okay. Your date of birth?
1/12/87. You guys have all my stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Are you management or just employee? Your manager? Perfect.
Now, the reason I reckon she said perfect when she said she's the manager is because officially the police aren't supposed to solicit a trespass. They aren't supposed to say, would you like him trespassed? Again, for obvious reasons, because that's the government through the branch of through the arm of the police encouraging people to prohibit other people from doing things. But the fact she's the manager, that's perfect. When it comes time to look for a trespass, I'm speaking to the right person.
Customer comes in and she says he's bothering her. Does she say what he's doing?
So then he's recording, which is
taking pictures.
we're doing a dual control audit, and so I came out when that happened.
Okay, so you came out. You said, "Hey, you can't be recording. You need to leave." And what is he? And he just says, "I'm not leaving." And you said you asked him twice.
I asked him twice, and I told him I was going to call security, and he told me to go ahead. So I did. We basically did the same thing.
Do you guys want him trespassed?
Yep.
Like if he comes back, he'll go to jail.
Yep.
Just curious about something. When I go back a little touch, just a little touch. Right. Does my mouse show on screen? Yeah. What do you reckon that is up there in the left-hand bottom corner there? What do you reckon that is? Do you reckon that could be a camera? So the bank can have a camera that points out into the world, probably down in front of the bank, but it's going to be directed at the footpath, filming public. But old mate with a camera on the footpath, he can't point one back.
We basically did the same thing.
Do you guys want him trespassed?
Yep.
Like if he comes back, he'll go to jail.
Yep.
Okay.
And then he was recording, asking where the employees parked. He asked Bob where the employees parked so he could record our vehicles and plates.
Do you have any idea if he showed up in a car here?
No idea. I don't know.
Okay.
Just kind of
I feel like
I
you
want to
have
run
look
his
because he's
plates.
all the way
I
in
want his ID so bad.
Okay.
You
So
even
listen,
said it.
guys are
what's your information? You have to give it now.
reasonable, articulable, suspicious. Failure to ID is a secondary crime. I got to first commit a crime to have to identify.
Okay, can I tell?
Now there's something else. The cops just don't seem to get trained. Actually, I've seen some. There was this company that the cops were hiring, but they had to retrain thousands of officers because of the training that was exposed they were going through, which was effectively being trained how to violate people's rights. So, two things. He's in cuffs. They're just beginning their investigation. They told him he's not arrested, which he fucking is. They're calling it detained. He's in cuffs while they investigate. It's basically she said, he said. They've come in hot. They've taken the side of the bank manager, Karen. And this dude, minding his own business, standing on the corner, is in fucking cuffs. Now she's going to tell him that he has to give ID, which he doesn't. There has to, like he pointed out, failure to ID is a secondary crime. You can't fail because you're only required to ID if you've been arrested. Detained? I think if you're detained. I'm not sure. I think it's arrested. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Once you're arrested, you have you're required to ID. He hasn't been arrested. There's no crime. So failure to ID is not a crime in and of itself. It has to be after the first crime's been committed, and that's the point he's trying to make. Like you can't be charged with only failure to ID. There has to be another crime first. So what they do is they try to make something up all the time.
Tell you what's going on.
Why am I detained?
Okay, I will tell you. So this
Say the crime.
this manager said that.
Thanks, Silva. Appreciate you.
That you were videotaping her. So she came out. I'm just gonna tell you what I've been told. This manager said, "Hey, sir, you cannot videotape. This is a bank. You need to leave." And you said, "Nope, I'm going to continue to do this." And then she asked you again and said, "You have to leave.
From public.
I'm getting a security officer stood right from the store."
Okay. Yes, they said all of that from public, from the sidewalk.
That's not the sidewalk. They
You
own
no,
that.
I was on the side.
She says you're
Let
over
me be
here.
quiet. But you cut me without them saying, "Show me." I got camera. I can show you where I was standing. It's all
Okay,
camera.
well, I have to get your information, sir.
Absolutely
This is
not.
Now, you see, he just said, I had the camera rolling the whole time. So as part of her investigation into this alleged crime, she could simply say, show me the footage. He could rewind, dispel the accusations, prove he was standing on the sidewalk doing nothing illegal, investigation over. But she doesn't. She says, no, I need your information. I need your information. I mean, why wouldn't she just say, oh, you've got footage, show me, and we'll sort this out. Great. It'd save her a lot of work doing an investigation.
Investigation.
Absolutely not.
Then you're under arrest.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm waiting for the supervisor.
He's coming or she's coming.
Okay. They can't just say I was doing it. What they said I was inside their building. You're not going to investigate that?
I didn't say you're in the building.
I got everything recorded. What if she said I was inside the building? She wouldn't even check.
She didn't say you were.
But what if she did?
That's something that's kind of important that he's pointing out. You've detained me because someone said X. And he's saying, well, what if she said Y or Z? Would that hold the same weight? Like, you've just taken her word for it. So basically, the manager's saying he was in the building or he was on our property. He's saying I wasn't. You've got two accounts. You would assume both with equal weight. So why is the copper siding automatically with the bank manager and saying, based on her accusation, not on your refutation, based on her accusation, we're going to go this way. You're going in cuffs. Why is that?
All right.
He's gonna talk to you in a second.
Hold on.
Okay. So this call comes out. He's videotaping stuff, and then there's a pending call from 40 minutes ago. She's supposed to dupe it. He's doing the same thing at a bank off Ward Parkway.
Sure.
They called, videotaping, blah blah blah. So manager here says that he's out front. A lady comes into the store and complains on him and said he's videotaping me, videotaping whatever. So she walks out. She says, "Sir, this is a bank. We have like security measures. You can't videotape the bank." And she's like, "You have to leave." And he says, "Nope, not leaving." And she's like, "Okay, well, you have to." She told him twice to leave, so she's gonna get security. We come out here and he's just videotaping. Won't give me his information.
Okay.
So I told him right now he's being detained because why is he videotaping banks? And they asked him to leave twice, and he refused to leave.
Are we arresting for trespassing or citing him for trespassing? Or?
So whatever you think, I just think why would you be videotaping these banks?
This supervisor is kind of interesting because he does manage in a strange way by the end of it to do the right thing, have the right thing done, but without actually saying, look, this is stupid, you've done the wrong thing. You know, what he should be doing right now is saying, first of all, take the guy out of cuffs and we'll go and talk to the bank and we'll find out exactly what happened and we'll do an investigation. So he doesn't get points for that. They should have the guy out of cuffs right now. He should never have been in cuffs. He does get them to the right place, but he does it in a diplomatic way. Diplomatic in the sense of not making his underling look too stupid. Sorry, somebody at the front door. It's all right. My daughter got it. I would have liked to have acted a bit more like he's educating and saying, listen, this is not right. This is how it goes and don't do this again. I understand he's working within a context and he's got to face everybody back at the office later, but I don't know.
No,
But he has to give his information, and he's refusing to give information.
no, I understand for detaining him to get his information, but I mean, are they going to press any charges for trespassing?
She says they would. Do you have your fingerprint reader?
Who wanted to talk to him?
Him.
Oh, okay.
Because he was video. As soon as we got here, he's like asking for all of our information, and then finally, when he like wouldn't give us anything, I said, "Hey, man, you're being detained." And then he immediately was just like, "Supervisor, supervisor." He's kind of playing this whole weird. I don't know if he's doing like a lot of people on social media, you know, where like you walk up and they're just immediately.
Right.
So if he wants to talk to you, and maybe if we have a fingerprint reader.
Maybe if you've got a fingerprint reader, I got to get that ID. She can't get the ID off the guy. She can't figure out which car he came in to run the plates. So maybe, Daddy, if you've got a fingerprint reader, we can finally get that lovely, lovely ID. It's like crack for these guys. ID's like crack. I swear, I've seen documentaries and stuff where, well, not documentaries, but reports where police departments do have quotas. They have quotas for the number of DUIs that an officer does each year. They have quotas for the number of IDs they run trying to find outstanding warrants and shit like this. And that's why this stuff's important, because they get so busy trying to meet their quotas that they completely lose sight of what they're supposed to be doing, which is protecting the rights of the citizens. So, and notice all her responses to him. He's kind of saying, "So what's up? Are they trespassing? Was there some law broken?" And everything she says is kind of like a little bit of, well, I kind of feel like there was this bank down the road he was at, and he's doing the same thing here, and he won't give ID, and there's these, people who want to get attention online, and she never actually can articulate anything specific as to why the guy's in cuffs. At this point, she's butthurt.
There's a sergeant.
How you doing, sir? Can I get your name and badge number just so I understand who I'm speaking with?
Sergeant Matt Williams, badge number.
How you doing, Mr. Williams? Again, I just came out today doing some public photography. I'm an independent journalist here gathering content for a story. I've only been on the sidewalk. The bank did approach me and asked me what was I doing. I let them know I was just recording. I have no intent to go in their bank or on their property. They said they just don't even want me recording the bank. So I told them I am an independent journalist gathering content for a story. I said, you give me your business card, I can email you the story. I came down this sidewalk as well. They told me I cannot record their drive-through or the cars. I said, hey, I'm on a public sidewalk. You can't stress my cars. Anything I see in public, I can record. They said they dispatching their security to come and escort me. I said, his job is to observe and record. So they gave you a call. And when they gave them these guys a call, when they came out, instantly she's just more concerned on why am I recording on the public sidewalk more than, hey, he has every right to do what he's doing. He's not on you guys' property on the public sidewalk. And I seen they don't know how to handle a situation like this, public photography, so I asked for you.
I appreciate it. All right, let me ask a few more questions now that I've heard your side. Okay?
Yes, sir. All public sidewalk. Oh, shut the And she stopped my camera, Mr. Williams, while I was recording. So now I got to get the body cam footage for the rest of my story. It's gonna be
So to link this back to the debate that's coming up on the 26th on Swords of Reason, my opponent is going to have to demonstrate how this activity, this type of activity here that this guy's involved in, he's going to have to demonstrate how that leads to domestic terrorism. So at some point, I think between now and then, once I've gathered a bit more resources and done a bit more research, maybe I'll do one of these videos about domestic terrorism, and we can sort of compare and contrast, try to figure out how he's going to make a connection between these two. At this stage, I can't see how, but I'll see if I can figure out one, and that way I'll be prepared to argue against it. But at this stage, I can't see the connection.
goodie though. It's gonna be a whole different story now. I'm the good guy. I go out and I look for good officers, man. Yeah. But I also look for the bad. KCMO, y'all look so bad. You know who look good? Gardner. Gardner got a bad rep. I'm about to meet with the captain. Captain Roberts. Z Roberts out there, man. Hey, Z Roberts, man. I'm
Going to skip forward a little bit because the cop spends a long time in the car talking to whoever. Wow, a long time. All right, so the cop goes over to speak to the bank people.
Right. But she said that he was up here. Hey, ma'am.
Okay, so this is where they're going to get into a discussion about what's the bank property and what's not the bank property. It's amazing how many business owners think they own the sidewalk in front of their property, like they own it all the way to the road. Even if that were the case, I think somebody in chat pointed it out earlier. There's still a concept of public easement. Even if you do own the sidewalk up to the road, generally there's a certain distance of so many feet that is considered public access. So you're still protected to. Oh, hello. Brick petitions. Am I arguing for 1A or against? The debate topic that I'll be arguing, the proposition is that the activities of First Amendment auditors leads to an increase in domestic terrorism. And I'm on the against side. I'm saying it doesn't lead to that. My opponent's going to have to demonstrate how what this guy's doing and people like him leads to increases in domestic terrorism. So, for what it's worth, as an Australian watching America, I'm a big proponent of the First Amendment. So they're going to argue about where he stood. And it often comes down to, these people lie. They say, oh, he was on our property. The cops could just look at his footage and find out.
Right here.
And this is your property?
All of this. As far as I know, we own all of this.
I mean, this is a public sidewalk.
From an image from our corporate offices, this is property that we own all the way down to the back parking lot and around.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a city easement on, I mean, at your house, my house, here. I mean, him filming from a city sidewalk is much different than him being inside your lobby.
Right. Which I get, but with the customers saying,
I understand
yeah.
that, what the institution is. I mean, it's just, it's weird. And
Yeah.
whether he's doing a story or not,
Right.
I don't know.
And then to go from one bank to another after we just
And ask where employees park to record their cars and plates.
So how did he ask that?
Okay, this female cop keeps saying, oh, he went from one bank to another, etc., etc. Hang on, excuse me. No, I've got a bit of a. I've got the flu, boys. I've got the flu. Hang on, I've got a visitor. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. Just had to had a little visitor come in. Okay, very good. I audit. Audits are a necessity, especially now that cameras are so available. Brick, I'm glad to hear that you audit. That's I'd love to see some of your work. What the hell were we just talking about? Sorry, my daughter just came in to tell me something, so I got sidetracked, which is okay, by the way. Oh yeah, this female cop is going, oh, he went from one bank to the other, like he's done it twice today. These aren't illegal activities. One would argue they aren't even suspicious. What if a high school student or a unit or a college student was doing a project talking about the architecture of banks in the city. And they had a day off, and they decided a good use of their time would be to get a map, look up all the banks in town, and drive around and take a little video clip of each of the banks for the purposes of comparing their architecture as part of their project. Would this female cop be going, but they were videoing multiple banks? Probably, actually.
If you never,
He asked me specifically where the employees were.
where were you? Where did that happen?
I walked with him back and forth along here.
I mean, obviously, hopefully you didn't answer him. I mean, but
No, I told him that I didn't give him any of that information.
I told him.
But then he started walking over and recording.
the problem is, I mean, he can stand.
Yeah.
I mean, he can stand across the street and still do that.
Actually, Brick Petitions, if you're still around, just let me know on chat if you want to come up and have a chat. That'd be really interesting, seeing as you do some auditing. I'm going to run this a little bit. I've got to go and heat up my coffee and do all that. What I'll do, your channel was removed. Why was your channel removed? Let's say to you. I don't know those channels, mate, but if you want to have a chat, as long as we aren't going to do any, your channel was removed. Should I be offering to have you up? Like to know why it was removed. Anyway, look, I'm going to play this a little bit. I'm going to heat up my coffee. Let me know if you want a link, Brick. I'll put one in the chat if you're in a position to come up and have a chat, and if you feel so inclined. I'll be back in a minute.
You know, I mean, if he came on your property,
I
and are
drove. I don't know where he parked.
and are willing to,
He did come up. I don't know if he stepped. I don't know where that
Right.
begins. If he touched this area, whether he stayed on there. But
well, I
he
mean,
was
you guys
up
got
against his
cameras,
window.
I just feel like, I mean,
I have no problem documenting it.
he has to. I think he has to identify himself.
You can what?
We'll talk about it.
You don't have his information.
So no, that's what I'm telling you. He won't give it, and I'm telling you, he's being detained because it's an investigation,
No, I understand that.
and that's what I'm getting at. Is he will not give it to me.
It's just a classic case of Casey.
I mean, it is, but it's very.
And the fact that he was just at another branch, another bank.
And what happened at that one? Do you know?
No, I was just saying that he just came from another bank.
Is that a call pending or?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. The other bank, that call had been pending for that came out at 13:59. Same description as him, completely. He's doing the same thing, videotaping the bank, the parking lot. This was a disturbance. We came here because they said that they were asking him to leave, and he's refusing to leave. So I'm saying,
If
you're
they
detained.
want
This is an investigation. He at least has to identify himself.
if he was breaking the law, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If he's minding his own business, we can't go grab someone off the bus stop and say, "Give me your information."
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. They need reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime.
If he was breaking the law, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If he's minding his own business, we can't go grab someone off the bus stop and say, "Give me your information." Just because they don't like the fact that he was filming from a sidewalk doesn't make it illegal. If that's what I'm trying to determine. If he came on their property, then let's hook him up for trespassing and we'll get his information out. If that's going to be something that they're willing to do, that's not us. They're the one that's going to have to go to court.
Well, I think we won't be able to. There's no real argument on what's their property and what's not, because they don't know. They're claiming this is all, like you said, this is obviously a sidewalk.
Well,
They're claiming
that's their claim. If they want to go to court with that claim, then they can.
Yeah. My thing is, I would like to be able to document this, but I feel like we have to get his information.
And if you have a crime, I agree. That's what I'm trying to figure out is whether we have a crime. Because him standing on the sidewalk filming this, I know that sucks. I mean, it's kind of the day and age we're in right now. You know, some people do this just to.
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't know if he's doing it just to get a rise out of us.
Oh, 100%.
But I told him, the whole thing's on our body camera, so.
I would put it in their hands. If they want to file a charge.
All right, so I put the link there. Brick petitions, you don't have to go cam if you don't want to. I'll just ask when you're backstage that you go cam so I can just verify that you're a person. Brick, I'm not sure that we've interacted before. It's possible. Sorry if I don't remember if we have. I do a lot of random stuff on channels and get into quite a bit of back and forth with people. I know a couple of people with Brick in the name as well, so I don't know if that's the one you use all the time or if you have another version of Brick something. But you notice how the cops start talking about, these guys do this just to get a rise out of us. It's not really true. Not all of them do. I've seen some guys who have a really good line, these auditors. They'll say, I'm working on a story, and the cop goes, what's the story about? And the cop goes, well, it depends how this goes. Right? Often the story will be about you, depending how it goes. Good on you, Brick. Yeah, I wasn't sure, mate. I'm really sorry for not remembering as such, but I had a feeling. I had a feeling. There's often beer involved in my online activities, and so my memory isn't always as precise as it should be on certain things. You're making a coffee, good man. I just got mine ready. All right, we'll play a little bit more. What I'll do, I'll pin that link for you so that it doesn't vanish. Not that stream is particularly flowing, so it should be there, but I'll pin it anyway. So it's up there. Yeah, I'm interested to talk to someone who actually does auditing. I think it's fascinating. But yeah, so the cops assume these guys are doing this to get a rise out of us. Well, if you're worried about that, don't let them get a rise out of you. For heaven's sake, right? It's so funny.
Okay, so what we're kind of at is, if you want to file a charge for trespassing, you would have to go to court and state that this is your property.
Yeah, okay.
But we don't.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah, because.
Yeah, so what they're pointing out is what they're dealing with here is a civil issue. Which they're kind of pointing out there's been no crime committed. Criminal activity, civil issues. The cops are involved in criminal, not civil. So now I think one of the cops is going to solicit a trespass. No, they said they can't actually. The other guy pointed out. It's civil. Get the guy out of the fucking handcuffs.
I mean,
It's a sidewalk.
right.
Yeah.
My only concern is just him coming back and then
So this is what-
having our
Okay,
Or following any of us home.
so we're obviously going to tell him
he's got to
he's trespassing. And he comes back here, calls, and then that's an arrestable offense.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Now, that's bullshit. If he comes back here, that's an arrestable offense. Comes back where? If he comes back to the sidewalk, it's not an offense. Comes back onto their property, he was never on their property. But this copper is going to have to frame it in some way that she can try to assert some authority over old mate and say, listen, just letting you know, if you come back, you'll be arrested. Just trying to leave him with a sense that, some areas aren't for you. We've laid down the law. I'm giving you a directive. He handles it pretty well, actually.
They want you trespass.
I wasn't on their property.
I'm
You
telling
cannot
you.
trespass my eyes on public property.
I'm telling you right now, if you come back to this,
I'm not in their business,
you
man.
will go to jail.
Your
I'm letting you
directives.
know.
I don't have to listen to your directives, ma'am. I'm on a public sidewalk. You cuffed me.
You see, she's gaslighting, right? She's gaslighting. And he's good at talking back to it. She says, if you come back here, you'll be arrested. Now, the easy thing for him to say would be, okay, knowing in his own mind that he was never there and he won't be back. He won't be going into their property anyway. Like he knows. And he could, make her feel good and just say, or get it over with and say, okay, I understand. But he keeps pulling up her bullshit where she says, if you come back here. And he says, I was never on their property.
Oh, yeah, and I got it recorded too. So
G'day, Clay. I see you, man.
Listen, sir. They want you trespass.
I wasn't on their property. Hearsay.
Let's just
Okay,
get
and
to the
that's why
point
you
where the
are.
guy's
I
got
knew
it
that's
covered.
why you were doing it.
I'm telling her I did
But I'm telling you, they want you verbally trespass.
not. It's
In conclusion,
There
I
you
would
go.
just like to know,
Get him out of the
Officer
damn
Sarah
car.
Holland, do you know what Kansas City Accountability's name?
Clay, good to see you, man.
What's good, brother, man? What's good?
Yeah, see, when I saw your name, Clay, that I recognised.
Yeah, I'm that brick. I'm the American brick. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think, was it Wrestlers? Where we...
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I pretty much frequent most of probably the same spaces that you do. You actually bought me back up once on Speakeasies. I go to Sarah's a lot. I go to Resla's sometimes now. Used to go to him all the time, and he's kind of laid back a little bit. And then, some of the frequent places, Flows even, so.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen that around. I sort of Wrestlers I kind of dropped off. I think I used to hang out on Flows a bit. I used to frequent Sarah's a bit, but a little while ago, long before all this drama, I just kind of dropped off. The content wasn't engaging with me. It was all a bit circular. And
Yeah, that does happen in the debate space, or what's called the debate spaces, even though it's not real debate.
No. A lot of, look, I sometimes get in trouble, or not get in trouble. I frustrate people. I think some people are getting used to me to a certain degree, but I sometimes frustrate people because I try to make things get to the point, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way. It's just that I when the arguments are going around and around, I try to cut through and find a way to bring it to a conclusion. And some people find that frustrating. I think some people like to just have the talking going on and on.
Yeah. Absolutely. You like solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to. It's a bit like when I'm reading a bit of philosophy or something. I'm interested in philosophy that I can apply, where I can get it to a point where there's something practical I can use that to adjust my worldview, which will then inform my choices and decisions.
Yeah.
But if it's just constantly going around and around, it starts to drive me nuts. So.
Yep. And I did see, because of course I go to Speakeasy sometimes, and I'm like, Kieran, because I saw that you actually had this live started. Well, you had it scheduled, and I said, oh, Kieran's got a debate on First Amendment auditors. That's interesting. So I went to see when it was. I saw that it's on Speakeasies, and when it was, I figured it was on Speakeasies, and then I just kind of waited for that, and then I saw you were live, so I'm like, yo, what's up, man? How you doing? All that good stuff.
Good on you, mate. Yeah. So that's our Speak's new thing called Swords of Reason, which is a new show. He's already had about 6 of them, and he's got tons of them lined up.
Yeah.
It's more of a Have you seen any? Any of those?
I have not because with the with the drama stuff and all that, I just wanted to kind of show my support on a certain side and all that good stuff. Not that I'm not supportive of everybody. I like everybody, and I want everybody to succeed, but so I've been trying to show my support where others decided not to, kind of thing.
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble with certain quarters. I bet you. I just realized which side you've been showing support for.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm supportive of all channels, and so because of 1A. Actually, let me cam up. See in the back. First Amendment.
Yeah, cool.
1A press, right? So that is what I mean. This is literally my job. Press.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look, just to throw a cap onto the topic of the drama sphere, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I stay away from it. I've seen this cycle go through about 3 times in my time online.
Yeah.
And every time it starts, I kind of drop out. I don't if they're shows that I frequent and they're covering this topic, whether I agree or not, I just stay away from it. It's not my wheelhouse.
Hey,
and I don't like the idea of guilt by association. So say for example, if someone was to go, Clay was on Kieran's channel, that must mean it don't mean shit.
No, it doesn't mean shit. Well, it's funny too, because when I actually started frequenting the debate sphere stuff, right, or the panels and all that, I actually came over from Generally Specific. You know who that is? The American guy that always talks about Chris Ryder, that guy. And it's just like a constant thing. Well, that's where I kind of came over from, which he just wouldn't stop. So I kind of distanced myself from him. And then one day he decided to flip out on me because of a specific interaction that I filmed with the government, which was really wild because he says he's, First Amendment. He swore an oath to defend our rights and all that stuff. But then this interaction happens, and he just, I don't know, he switched sides and he went full bootlicker. It's crazy, man.
Really?
It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. And the people that are in his chat now are all like real bootlickers too, which is really, really weird. So yeah, I know exactly what you're saying about the drama. You kind of try to distance yourself, and then, people are going to have judgment calls, whatever they want to do. I don't care. I'm going to show support where I feel like I want to show support. And in this case, I see you have this debate coming up, and First Amendment audits is my thing. I'm a huge supporter. Plus, I do. Plus, the thing is so my financial support. He's the older gentleman.
Oh
yeah. He served his country. Our country. He was Navy, and essentially, he swore an oath, and so now he does press, which is a necessity, especially now. Yeah. So
well,
I'm real
it's
happy.
considered, press is considered what used to be considered one of the 3 pillars of a democracy, a free press.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's the basis of transparency. So
Indeed. Yep.
I forget the others. Was it the government, the judiciary, and the free press? I think that was the 3. It was something like that. But the press was certainly in there.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now. So, when it comes down to First Amendment audits, right? So, me personally, I say that it's not a true First Amendment audit unless you ask the question. And the question is, what are the 5 elements of the First Amendment?
Good question.
Right. So,
well, I could fumble my way. I think I've heard that. I think I've heard that question before, but I've never looked into it as a theme as such.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's going to be freedom of speech. Is that part of it?
There's one of them. Yep.
Freedom of speech. It's probably got to be the right to bear arms.
No, that would be the Second Amendment.
That's the 5 elements of the First Amendment. I thought you meant the Constitution.
The first 5. No. The First Amendment, 5 elements. So we already discussed 2. You just said it was one of the pillars.
A free press.
Press, correct. Speech.
Yeah,
and
free
then
speech. It's freedom of expression.
Not expression, but that actually falls into the same category of speach, though.
Yeah. I kind of learnt that. Like holding up a poster or a picture is also considered free speech. Flipping the bird is free speech.
Right. Here, I'll give you the acronym. RAPS. RAPPS.
PPS.
So start with the R. What's the R? This one should be really easy. Because
don't say that. Don't say that. It make me look stupid.
What's belief?
Religion, freedom of religion.
There you go. Yes, religion.
A is going to be freedom of association.
Close. It's actually assembly.
Okay, freedom. Yep, freedom to assemble. Yep.
And then of course one of the P's is press, and then of course the S is speech. But the other P, and this is the one that is always difficult. This is the hardest one of them all. It's called petition.
Oh, petition.
Well, protest actually. See, the funny thing is that the Supreme Court ruled that protest is a right, but it's never been codified.
I think it's hard. It's hard to define.
Yes. Well, see, you don't. You have the right to assemble, and you have the right to petition. Means ask, right? But you don't have a right to throw rocks at cars. Now, I could say that throwing rocks at cars is my form of protest.
No, I won't say that's writing.
Right. Well, that's why we have. That's why it's called petition.
Yeah, petition is more like stating. It's almost like you have the right
formal
to be heard.
ask. It's a formal ask, right? And actually, what that deals with is like the court or like records requesting. So it's
gotcha.
Yeah, so it's the formal writing request.
Would it also have to do with lobbyists? Do they have the right to petition?
Yeah, lobbyists can ask. Yeah, we all have the right to ask. Every American citizen has the right to ask. And so when they actually go around with their signature boards, their clipboards with the signatures, and they're asking for signatures, that's a form of petition where they're actually going around and asking each citizen, can you sign this so that we can ask for this change? And typically with that, what's happened is prior to that, a congressman or a counselor has said, look, if you get 1,000 signatures, I will support this such and such.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's formality, right? So religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech. Wraps.
Petition almost seems like it assumes a right of access. Not that you have direct access. Like you don't have a right to speak to your senator directly.
Right. You have a right to ask to speak to him.
Right, which means that the government or those in power can't cut off the people from interacting with the government.
Exactly.
They can't form their own little bubble, and then they're now here and the people are here.
Right. They can't sit up in their ivory towers forever. They have to come and interact at some point.
This may sound like a strange connection, but what comes to mind, I've on speakeasies recently, somebody was discussing, or the topic he brought up was jury trials, and my intuition was in favor of them as opposed to abolishing them, and I couldn't quite nail down why, but I think it's something about like what you just said then. By having a jury trial, or the right to a jury, it ensures that the government hasn't got a monopoly, or the judiciary hasn't got a monopoly on the legals, on verdicts. Yes, because there's a potential for corruption in there.
Yep, exactly. This ensures that the people do have the ability to stay involved, even if they're dumb as a gnat. They can still be involved.
And I think a really good example, I don't know if you followed the Karen Reid trial over there.
Very little, but those are like the big higher profile trials and stuff like that. I do know the ins and outs of the courts. I'm actually in the process of suing the city where I live right now. So
okay. Yeah. Well, that case was such a blatant example of corruption between the judge, the prosecutor. It was and the police. It was absolutely stunning how blatantly corrupt the whole thing was. And in the second trial, it was by the grace of a incredible defense team and a jury that they managed to get the acquittal in the end. So and I would be very surprised if there wasn't subsequent charges against some of the witnesses who were probably the actual perpetrators. So that was a framing that was a framing that case, and be interesting to see how it goes. But that kind of that right to access or that right to petition kind of seems to overlap with the right to have a jury trial, where the public, even if you're stupid, right? Even
exactly.
if you're stupid.
Yeah. So essentially, the way that I view it, and I don't know about every single person, but this is just the way that I view it. All of the codified rights, and if they're not codified, let's say that, according to the Ninth Amendment, there's natural rights that aren't codified. Like we don't put into writing that you have the right to walk down the street with shoes and socks. Like that's a given, right? That's a natural right. So that would be covered in the Ninth Amendment. If a cop stopped you and said you have to have shoes and socks, you'd be like, that's a Ninth Amendment violation. But all of your rights in this country, they must be in conjunction with all of the other rights. If one right is not in conjunction with other rights, then it's not valid on its face. It's prima facie, it's not valid.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's just consistency.
Correct.
Yeah, the whole thing's coherent. It's
Right.
different here in Australia. We're the only modern democracy that doesn't have our rights codified. We don't have a Bill of Rights. We don't have a Charter of Rights.
Interesting.
The way it works in English common law, it's something broadly. I'm new to this, but it's something broadly around the lines of it's assumed in the beginning that we have all the rights, and then the common law.
So the court covers it.
Common law covers it. So
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's assumed, for example, that you and I both have the freedom to walk around, right?
Correct.
Now, if we both want to stand in the same spot at the same time, our rights are going to clash.
Correct. Yes. Perfect.
And the court has to figure that out. So our rights are actually embedded through the common law. We don't really have we have no charter, no bill of our rights. Which
That's very interesting.
It is interesting because on the one hand, having your rights codified is a good thing because you can point to them and you can argue them clearly.
Right. Yeah. Solid. Yeah.
But at the same time, it means they're kind of given and can be taken away in a sense. Like, I kind of like the idea of you can't point to where, it's
right.
Like,
well, what it does is it gives the opportunity to say what the limitation of rights are. And I'll give you a prime example. It's one of the prime examples that there's actually a pretty big movement that's working today to try to get it overturned. There's a case called Terry versus Ohio. It's called the stop and frisk. Have you ever heard of stop and frisk? Yep.
Sure do.
So,
Terry
so
stop,
yeah, the Terry stop, man. And essentially that's a Fourth Amendment violation. But what the Supreme Court did was they sat there and basically worded around how it's just a mere inconvenience, where in reality it is a Fourth Amendment violation.
I did hear something that it was the Terry case was the cop noticed a bulge on the guy's belt under his shirt.
Yes.
And that gave him cause to think that he was in danger. It could be a gun, and that gave him the right to do a pat-down search.
Right. It's called reasonable articulable suspicion is what they called it.
Yeah, and that seems to be one that gets abused quite a lot.
Correct. Now, there's some people... Officer safety, man. Yeah, that's the one. Now, there are some people in the movement who actually like the Terry stop. What they say is that it does actually indicate certain aspects of criminal activity that could possibly be articulated, which I don't disagree with. However, any articulation to me is not valid enough on the street. I personally like the idea of requiring a warrant. Past that, it's the government's duty to uphold the citizens' rights. So let's say that someone is being assaulted or battered or worse. In that case, the cop, which is the government agent, does have an obligation, a duty to uphold the victim's rights, but that shouldn't be established based upon a mere inconvenience of the Fourth Amendment. You see, and that's where the court, I feel like they got it wrong. But even still, it does allow for reasonable a reasonable stance within the court to say, yeah, it was technically, quote unquote, fruit of the poisonous tree, because that's really where the doctrine even comes from in the first place, which is a much earlier case. But, establishing that articulable fact is going to be very difficult typically for a cop, because cops are pretty dumb. And that's the truth of the matter. They're going to be sitting there going, well, I kind of saw a bulge, which I felt like in that case was like, so you saw a bulge, what were you looking at, scratch or what?
Well, the other one, the other one's furtive movement.
Yeah.
Furtive movement. We're going to search the car.
Yeah. But anyway, this isn't about the Fourth Amendment. This is about the First Amendment, and why the First Amendment is it doesn't, in my humble opinion, it does not promote domestic terrorism. And here's the basic sense of that. The only people that could participate in such activities are people with intent to do serious terroristic criminal activity. Holding a camera, being press, is not even close to that. In fact, it does quite the opposite. The camera actually captures whoever is there on scene. If there is something odd going on, it will in fact be captured on camera. When the police come because of some person's lack of knowledge of what our rights are, they become educated, and typically, most of the time, not the government buildings, but like businesses and stuff, become educated and become appreciative in the future.
Yeah, I have formulated my core argument for the debate, which is based around something akin to what you're saying. I probably don't want to articulate it too soon before the debate. I want to do a bit of research and make sure I've got my ducks in a row. But
absolutely, yep.
Yeah, my thinking is somewhere along those same lines. That well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So basically, there's five, according to the FBI. There's five categories of domestic terrorism. Only one of them would be related to this debate. I don't think animal rights activists who are committing acts of terrorism are. That's actually one of the categories, right? So
right.
And then there's ethno sort of racist people.
Correct.
Who are, that kind of thing. But the one which is basically anti-government would be the only one where I could see any logical or anything to talk about, because it's about government activity. So that one and auditors are both interested in government activity. So I think that's where I'll find the best place to kind of argue my point. But like I said, I'm still putting together my sort of research to get that right. I think
very good.
I think there is a practical side when you talked about Terry versus Ohio and the and this concept of inconvenience. I kind of understand, like the cops do have like one of the I think two exceptions to needing a warrant would be exigent circumstances. So I can see times where the court could say, look, fundamentally you can't enter someone's home without a warrant. But if you saw a guy dragging a girl in there with a knife to her throat and blah blah blah, go and get him, boys. Right. So that's there's always going to be that need for a practical application in real time, which puts the cops in a real hard spot, because if they make a wrong decision in the moment, it could go real bad for them. So I wouldn't want to be a cop, I'll tell you that much. And
right, yeah. That's why I'm press. That's exactly why I'm press.
Yeah, it's like you imagine every time you pull up, you do a traffic stop. You're walking up, you don't know if the guy's going to pop you when you walk up to the door.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
I've seen that happen. Like just a normal routine stop. They pull a guy over, and it's always like a fucking your tag lights out or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as auditors, I saw you were reviewing KCA. I've had a conversation or two with him, and he's definitely very aware, very astute.
I like him. He's very. That's the first time I've seen him. I think I may have seen one earlier. It just popped up in my feed today. I was doing a bit of scrolling around. I checked it out. I just like his style. I think he's a good example of how to if there's always people who argue, First Amendment auditors, they're pricks, they want attention, they're just trying to cause trouble, etc., etc. He's a really good example of someone who's doing it in a way that's very hard to argue that. He's
I agree.
There's another guy, I don't know his name. He just stands on street corners with a piece of cardboard and written on it says "God bless homeless vets."
Yeah, that's Jeff Gray. I got to meet him as well. So we had this was actually the second year we had our what's called Audit Palooza. We got to meet a whole bunch of the auditors.
Cool.
It was really awesome. Joe Cool, I don't know if you know who that is. Probably seen him coming around on the debate on the panels and stuff.
Yeah, he's on Orthodox Guys panel, or he was today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a really awesome. I mean, he's just so cool. And he's a big channel too, which is really cool. Because he comes around on the panels. He kicks it with the little guys, which is kind of cool. He was actually he was on exactly. He was on Speakeasies the other day actually.
I'm pretty sure I've interacted with Joe Cool before a couple of times.
Yeah, and then there's only a few of us who actually really kind of circuit these spaces. But with that said, there's some that run panels sometimes on their own. 10th Man, actually, 10th Man is he's interacted with a lot of the auditors.
I've gone back and forth with 10th Man a number of times. I don't know how many times I called him a poof though. But anyway.
Yeah. He's done a few himself. In fact, he was he's done a few. Yeah. And he's Canadian too. So, he's done them in Canada. So
Canadian. Look, me and 10th Man have gone back and forth but in the end we always end up having pretty good conversations.
But as far as the auditors like that, I would say, okay, let's take if you wanted to take a look at some of these guys and really kind of see some of the professionalism, what I mentioned, audit them. He to me is the pinnacle of what to do, how to act, because he doesn't come across as that petty or angry or whatever person. He's just very calm, cool, collected. He brings his notes. I mean, he usually has a full notebook with him.
I'm just looking at that
really,
right now.
He's just a favorite of mine, like probably number one in my book.
It's just called Audit Them?
Yep.
All right, I'll subscribe and then see what pops up in my feed. I'll do notifications and then we'll see what pops up.
And then
it does look like he goes into buildings and stuff. Is he like? Go into,
He does records requests, audits. He does a lot. I mean, where he's at, he's and he's a big guy. He's a big auditor. Not big like fat guy or anything. He's just he's big name. He
does a lot of stuff.
Sometimes auditors get arrested. Most of the time it's not for anything they've done. It's just because, the cops are kind of dumb I've never seen him get arrested.
Okay. He must have. He's doing something right. I also like Amagansett Press.
Yeah, he's a wild one. Huh? He's very vocal.
I enjoy his because I know earlier on in his earlier stuff he was very much an out there auditor. He would go pretty hard, and his channel evolved really well to where he you could legitimately say that his channel is a travel show. He literally goes down to all these small towns around the country, goes down the main street, gives the stores an opportunity to promote themselves. But inevitably, you'll get some Karen come up, and he's gotten really good with his quips and his comebacks. He's really good at matching energy. So if you come in hot, he'll come back hot. But if you come up, kind of curious and interested, he'll give you the time of day. So I kind of like where his is evolved. And then there's another woman. She's not an auditor, but she's kind of ending up kind of have to be, which is Caitlin Bennett on Liberty Hangout. She just goes out to protests, to lefty protests, and asks questions about Trump and stuff. And like, she's conservative.
Oh, is she the 2A gal? She the one who also carries?
She might. That's not her theme though. That's not her theme.
Okay.
One little side note was back in the day when she was in college. Apparently, she's a conservative, very much. Her husband's her cameraman. She does a lot of good stuff on like asking questions about politics and stuff, and draws a lot of attention. But there'll inevitably there's a video of her back when she was 19 at some party at college where she shit herself, and like literally.
Yeah, so, that is her. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. She carries. Yeah, she carries sometimes.
Yeah, based. So you end up with a whole bunch of fucking college students standing around her, calling her poopy pants or something. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. But in a few recent videos, she literally had to basically become a First Amendment auditor because they were getting chased out of places, the cops were being called and stuff like that. So that's another argument I'd make, where people who set out to be a First Amendment auditor are just getting ahead of the game of what comes to you if you don't do it anyway.
Well, that's exactly why I started, was because, like, here's the thing. So I started watching some of this, stuff of government accountability, right? And First Amendment auditors just kind of fell into that, and and that sort of thing. And then something happened in my life where I'm like, okay, here we go.
Good one. It came to look. There was an argument I was having one time. Again, it was on Speak. So I think I was arguing with Speak because,
no doubt,
it came up about First Amendment and auditors, and I sort of made this point, right? So you could say, why do they have to go into the post office or into the DMV and film old ladies who are trying to do their job? And my argument is this: let's say, I assume the DMV, that's a government body.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. So let's say they go in there and the manager, the Karen manager of the DMV, decides to make a policy, no filming inside. Now, her policy can't trump the Supreme Court, but people abide by it. People go, yeah, fair enough. The manager said you can't film in here, so fair enough. Then we don't do that. Okay. That's one infringement. Now, what if she then says, do you know what? We offer internet access and we offer personal face-to-face access and phone access. We could streamline this operation by eliminating personal contact and just say, if you want to do any business with us, it's only by the internet.
Yep.
Right. Should we let it go? No, because some people don't have internet, and the right to access is important. And so therefore, that's why even letting them get away with one little infringement just emboldens them, and the creep occurs. So I would argue, and the point of doing that is making them realize the manager of the DMV may think she has a certain amount of power. I'm saying she because most of those institutions are run by females now anyway. Which is also a fucking problem. A topic for another day. I'll do one on. I am going to do one on female police. So
I feel like the rebuttal to that is going to be, but it's goofy as shit, right? But it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, well, my rebuttal will be, well, you're goofy, so what?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, and you know where that will go. Yep.
That's not an argument. Oh, I don't like it. It makes me cringe. Well, don't fucking watch it. But just be grateful you still have your rights, because there's cunts out there who are looking after them and flexing them. The other argument is that, rights are like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. If you don't flex them,
absolutely.
if you don't exercise them. So
It is
but
because it's because of the people who came before us that we still have them.
yeah, correct.
Correct.
And then when a society gets into a place where they're comfortable, where we all feel safe and we all feel like things are going well, that's when the creep comes. That's like the scope creep. That's when people who have a tiny bit of power within some government institution starts to overlay their own opinion or their own preference on top of the policies.
Indeed.
Even in violation of the Constitution. And then it creeps, and before you know it, there's a lot of things you can't say, a lot of things you can't do, and it's harder to crawl back the further you go. It's harder to reel that back.
Yep.
And I think the argument's actually more absurd the other way. For someone to say, "Oh, it's creepy. Why do you want to do that?" I think that's absurd.
Yeah, because it's like, where's your mind at?
Yeah, what's important to you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, Like, look, I've had circumstances, like a really simple little anecdote. Nothing happened, but way back in the day when I was in my 20s, I used to make websites and stuff and things like this, and I say I had a job to part of the thing I was doing required me to go and take a photograph of a street or of a business or something. Right.
Yep.
I felt really self-conscious standing out there with a camera.
Oh, indeed.
Like, are people going to think I'm up to nefarious activities? Like,
yeah.
And
that crosses my mind every time. Generally speaking, like the first half second, and then it goes away, but it's there. Yeah, absolutely.
A big part of that came out after 9/11. Although that was American, even here in Australia, we had sweeping sort of not law changes, but suspicion of people with cameras. It was so weird, right? So I used to be like an amateur photographer, and it was like a paying hobby for a while, and back in those same days, and say there was some interesting sites down by the docks in Melbourne, down in the capital city, down by the port.
Yeah.
There's big installations, there's huge cranes, there's oil refineries or whatever, stuff like that.
Big city, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes they make great photos. You get the lighting right, you like the right time of day, you go with a black and white or a sepia effect, and they can make some pretty stark and interesting photos. But in those days after 9/11, everyone was creeped out about people with cameras. So I literally looked up the laws and stuff and things like that. Again, when my kids around that, a little bit later than that, when my kids were teenagers and they were riding skateboards and bikes around the skate park, and they had a bunch of friends who were all pretty skilled doing their tricks, I'd go around there with my camera and take photos of them doing their stunts. Next thing I knew, I had 10 kids at the front door asking to see the photos because they were all pretty excited.
Right.
So I made a little local website, and I put up the photos each week and left room for comments, and the girls were all writing about which boys were hot and et cetera, stuff like that. And one of the kids' mums said to my wife at the time, "That's illegal to put up photos of people." And I'd put their first name, right? And they go, "That's illegal. You can't put photos up of the kids on the internet and stuff." And I thought, well, let's just check it out. And I didn't really have the money at the time, but I rang a couple of lawyers, and one of them actually took the time, like over the phone, without even charging me or anything. He just said, "Oh, yeah, it's interesting." He said, "Look, the only first of all, it's not illegal. The only vulnerability you would have would be a civil thing if, say, a mother was with her kids and they were trying to escape an abusive situation." And then your photo, and they recognized him, and I said, "Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not going to be a thing." Right.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting what people think about, like, I don't consent to being filmed in the street.
Well, this whole idea of public photography and recording your interactions and all of that, yeah, it's definitely necessary for your government. Like, essentially, the camera is a documentation device. That's all it is. It's just the easier way than writing. It's just an easier way than drawing a picture. Like, if I have to sit there and write the whole thing out and draw pictures for everybody that's there, essentially, then I'm not going to have enough time to really capture everything that's going on. Like, I'm not a stenographer and I'm not a perfect artist, but that's the government. And the truth of the fact is that you actually have the right to record. Your right to press does actually extend onto private property. It actually so first off, you can record anything from public. So like if it's something that you can see, like you see somebody's private property, that actually can be captured, number one. Number two is, let's say that you're actually on private property. It's a business or your friend's home and that sort of thing. Your right to press, essentially, in the First Amendment, is not exclusive to just to public property. You actually can record. Your rights do not stop there. They only stop when you've been trespassed. Essentially, he can say you're on your friend's property. He wants you to go. He decides you're trespassed, but there's like an incident going on. Yep. What I tell people is don't stop recording, leave the property, back away, and continue to record. Because one thing is that, let's say something happens to you and you don't record it. Well, how do you have proof that that thing happened to you? And now they're going to say that a different thing happened, right? So I always suggest record everything, especially when it comes to interactions that are going south. But specifically, I say that because, people, have family issues that happen sometimes with friends, you're on their property. Yeah. Family issues are a big thing. And, the last issue that I had, I wish I would have recorded because, man, that shit was funny. But no, in all seriousness, like, your rights don't stop just because you're on a different, property. The difference here is that you can be asked to leave, which is a trespass, essentially. And then if you're trespassed, just leave. Like, that's the extent of it. And actually, that's a civil thing, right? It's because a trespass is a civil thing, unless you refuse to leave, in which case it becomes a criminal thing.
Yes, that's when they get involved. That's right. Because gotcha. I think I saw, just as a contrast to what you're saying, I saw a clip from the States where CPS come around to
CPS stuff.
Well, they were in the house, like they were allowed in, and the guy let them in, and they were going through the house and checking, and the guy's recording them, and the CPS woman's going, "Excuse me, I don't consent to being recorded."
It's too bad. That's hilarious.
I'm inside your house going through your shit, but you aren't allowed to record me.
Right. Yeah, you definitely want to record that. So let's say, like you said, it's a CPS visit. Typically, that's because a judge has ordered it. And in which case, yes, you always want to record that for sure. Anytime you interact with the government, you definitely want to record. It's a documentation device. They can't lie on you that way.
That's another part of that that creep that we were talking about before is... sorry if I'm distracted. I'm trying to manage things at the same time while we're talking.
Go ahead.
I keep saying I need a producer, but anyway.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm technically somebody else's producer right now. So.
Oh, good job. Yeah. CPS is another one I've noticed in the States where they often, these chicks just in casual clothes with tats down their arms and just rock up and act as though they have some authority. I've seen them turn up. They'll often have a couple of cops behind them, and they'll say, "Oh, I need to check on your kid." And the guy goes, "Well, have you got like a warrant or an order from a judge?" And she goes, "Yes, I have." And her clipboard's held to her chest. She goes, "Yes, I have. If you can step outside, I'll just show you." And he says, "No, I'm happy talking through the doorbell. Just so you have an order signed by a magistrate." And she's saying, yes. And you can tell it's no. You can tell she hasn't. So they get to turn up with the backing of the boys in blue behind them to try to enter your home and interact with your children. So again, that's another one where some people would say, why not just bring the child to the door and let them say hello and et cetera, et cetera. No, there's good reasons not to, because they're overstepping. They're trying to bypass the due process, I suppose you would call it. Maybe not due process as such, but they're trying to. Yeah, well, it is bypassing due process. Yeah,
it is actually. I wanted to touch on that earlier, right? So when it comes to like all of the rights being in conjunction with each other, so the whole point of all of it is due process. So prior to the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, prior to that, there was no real due process. I mean, anything that the governor or whoever the lord over whatever is, they essentially, could decree. And that's a declaration, essentially. And whatever they said is the thing that is so. And it's now with this Constitution idea, social doctrine, right? So I don't. Do you know anything about like the social doctrine, that sort of thing? I mean, obviously there's common law, but within philosophy, social doctrine.
If you get started on it, it may ring a bell, but the name itself doesn't exactly.
So you probably are familiar with Hobbes and Locke and Montesquieu and
very, very lightly.
Okay.
Political philosophy was the one area I didn't actually. I wish I had it. It's the one area that I didn't pursue when I was studying.
Yeah, this would be fun for you if you like philosophy, because essentially prior to social contract, it was divine right of kings.
Right.
Divine right of kings. Essentially, it's whoever is Lord, whoever is king, the top down, that sort of thing, which I agree with as long as it's Jesus. But if it's not Jesus, if it's not Jesus, then obviously we all need to kind of come together and decide, hey, these things make sense. This is what should be lawful and legal and that sort of thing. And that's where the idea of social contract theory comes in. And the originators of that, really, especially when it comes to the way we have it set up here in the States, is from Hobbes and Locke and Montesquieu.
Right.
Those guys kind of set the groundwork for what the founders looked at as far as how they would set up the first off, the Declaration of Independence, and then the Constitution afterward with rights. So essentially, everything that's legal and lawful is based upon rights. It's a legal claim. That's what a right is. It's a legal claim. I have a right to such. And so it being divine right of kings, before that, now with social doctrine, what they're saying is that the people can come together to declare first, which is why the Declaration of Independence is the founding document, and then later write and codify into law what is legal and lawful. Now, what the interesting thing is that they established first a constitution which laid out not just rights in the Bill of Rights, but also powers. And powers and rights are two different things, because the government will always have power. They recognize this, and they said, okay, well, these are the powers, not only the powers and duties and obligations of these governing bodies, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. And then after that, they said, okay, now we need to establish some legal and lawful claims for the people. And those would be codified into the Bill of Rights. Now, the one that I don't agree with, just kind of throw it out there, is the 10th Amendment. It says states' rights. I don't agree with that. I don't believe a government entity needs rights. I believe they've already got powers, which means they don't need rights. But the reason they did that was because there would be established a federal government, and because every state was its own unit, a United States.
Yeah, that's interesting. We in Australia we have states, not many, and a couple of territories which aren't quite states.
Right.
And the interesting thing here in Australia, like I'm hearing what you're saying about state rights, because look, our states aren't that different from each other. There are some small differences, but generally speaking,
Right.
anywhere you go in Australia,
Mostly cultural, right?
even that, there's not much difference.
Gotcha.
There are people who would argue with me, but there's nothing like if you traveled from Seattle to Alabama, that difference in cultures you would see there. There's nothing like that in Australia.
Yeah, interesting.
But the main thing is here that the states can't tax here in Australia. So
that is interesting.
The only tax we have is federal, and the federal government, under its constitution, has a responsibility to allocate funds to the states in certain measure, depending on, especially we have like a GST is our main. We have income tax, and we also have a goods and services tax, and for example, the states are responsible for health, so hospitals and things like that. But they can't raise their own funds through taxation. They rely on funding from the government, and that's where you get the political issues when the government might be right wing, and you have states who are left wing or right wing, and they got by law they have to allocate a certain amount to the states. But you can imagine how that could play out, sort of politically,
right,
when it comes to funding, right? So. It's quite interesting. I'm not even sure why we have states here, to tell you the truth. In America, in America, I could understand. Like, I'm generally against federalization. Our federal government was supposed to be
right.
Our constitution isn't an aspirational document like the American Constitution. Ours is basically an administrative charter for how the federal government interacts with the states. It was the general idea was the federal government would take care of international affairs and take care of cross-state issues. So things like if you owned a company that traded across states, the federal government was implied to be involved. But we've had a massive bloat over the years in our federal government. And at this point, I could just about say, don't worry about the states. Just the federal government we may as well put up with that. But in your case in America, I could see an argument that the cultural differences within states and between states and the history within states are probably worth protecting. And I think
absolutely,
So maintaining the authority of state governments could help sort of. It's a bulwark against homogeneity.
Yeah, extreme federalization.
That's right. So you can keep your cultural differences and enjoy it. If you want to go for a holiday within your own country, you can basically go to a whole different culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I think it'd be terrific.
And it's funny because like even county to county, you can find some massive differences. Like it's really wild because, so like let's take Florida for instance. When you go south, right, and you're traveling through the Southland, and then you finally get to the place where there's naturally growing palms, and I mean all the palms, like shrubs. Shrub palms. These things are naturally growing. That's where you actually get to Florida. It literally is the line. It's really wild.
Cool. That's cool. I do like that. That's one thing probably that makes the main difference, I'd say, here in Australia is like if I go due north from here, I've done it before. You can feel the temperature changing as you get into certain heights, and it does change the culture a little. I remember I was first introduced to this. I used to work for a company down south, and our salesman was sent up to Queensland, which is up north, where it's a lot hotter. And his comment when he got back, one of his comments was, "It's so hot up there that nobody moves fast."
Yeah, your south is our north. Our north,
correct.
Is your south kind of thing. Yeah,
it's like the mentality, the drive. Where it's cold, everyone's go get them. Let's go. Up north where it's hot, they're all like, "Yeah, it's cool. It's cool."
Yep. That's exactly the way it is too. But yeah, no. So the social doctrine is really the basis for our established government, because of course the the founders, they fought against a king's tyranny, and they said, you know what, even Washington, he said, no, I don't want to be king. I'll just do a presidency, and then we'll move it forward from that. And that was established as social doctrine. They voted him in. It was a unanimous decision the first go round.
Right.
Yep. But it was a vote nonetheless, and so. That established social doctrine has worked this far. And I mean, the thing with it, like, so let's say that we want to add a right. They said we say, okay, this is clearly something that needs to be an established right because it's something that the government is maybe being tyrannical about and arresting us and things like or whatever. We can actually put that into an amendment for the Constitution. Now, it takes a massive amount of support for that. I think it's like 3/4 of the states or 2/3 of Congress, or maybe that's backwards the other way around. I don't know. I forget. I always forget that. But it's a massive amount of support that we would need to get an amendment or to get one crossed out, so to speak, like the Prohibition did.
Like the 19th?
Yeah, like Prohibition. Yeah, exactly. So it takes this massive amount of support, which essentially what the founders were looking at was that they wanted a slow-moving federal government. They did not want a fast-moving federal government. And the reason for that is that they knew that justice has a process. It's not swift, and it's not slow. It's somewhere in between, that all the facts need to be discussed. This is why the judicial branch is set up the way it is, where it's got all these different courts where you have to go through, and they've got the writ of mandamus forcing an agency to, do what it needs to do, what it's supposed to do. Writ of certiorari, you take it up the ladder, you go to the next court up, and then there's writ of habeas corpus, which is show me the body, right? So where's the person? The 3 great writs, right? And they applied them all, and they don't want those things to go away. And what would happen is if they made a fast moving federalization, one of those great writs might go away just all of a sudden, and we don't want that.
They don't want the they don't want the speed of the change to get ahead of the ability to reel it in.
Exactly. So the people need to be able to see what's going on before something crazy happens. I
did hear a quote. I don't know if it was America or an Australian judge who, like a high judge, who said that justice needs not only to be done but to be seen to be done.
Yes,
which I think speaks to what you're saying, and also I think the balance to that is the right to a speedy trial. So you've got to say it needs time or a timely trial.
And that's what they really meant by that. Yeah, timely. Yep, I like that.
It takes time, and we have to go through process. That's just a fact. But at the same time, we want to.
You can't keep the guy in there for 15 years.
You get your shit together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it really speaks to that First Amendment auditor, because this is exactly why we have to have these guys out here to ask for these records, to see what's going on, to show, to record, to document what's really happening. And it's press. Got to have press.
I've got to take a little break for a couple of minutes. Go and take care of
brother.
Business, as you do. What I'll do, I'll play one just instead of leaving you there by yourself.
I can hang out in the chat and kind of.
I think chat's
for a little while.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. No one's chatting, so I'll just put something up and I won't be gone long. I'm only going to go and take a leak and top up my coffee. So
yeah, very good. Well, that'll give me time to go out there and talk to Let's while we're waiting. Excellent.
To the who?
Let's OTVO. That's the older gentleman.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. All right. Yeah. I'll share this and run it for a couple of minutes.
Very good.
That's not the one. That's him. Shared the wrong one. Huh. All right. That's him.
He's out voicing his First Amendment right, and he is on a public sidewalk. But as of right now, I'm not going to go and violate his rights or anything like that.
Okay.
His rights. Okay.
Why don't we take the camera?
Because that's theft. You can't take
It's
somebody
on
else's
public
property. It's not yours. You know it's not yours. It's theft. You know it. You just said it's his on camera.
Well,
So
I
that's theft.
picked it up a while
I'm
ago.
just saying that's theft. You don't give anything you can. Trust me. He knows the law better than we do.
Jacksonville Sheriff's Office calling. Sir, I'm calling about a guy who's set up a panhandling operation on Mandarin Road. And is that how many people that are panhandling? Just one guy. I've never ever seen anything like this before. You seen any drinking, drugs, or weapons on him? No, but he's got an attitude. All right, I'll get somebody out there.
Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Cepeda.
I'm calling to report an individual that is standing in front of my house staring at it and has been for over 30 minutes. And he's got
through the
a
windows?
sign.
Okay.
I'm inside my house. And to be honest, I live alone, so I'm a little nervous. This is unusual. We never have this.
All right, I'll get officer to go check it out.
Did you call?
It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
What's going on? What's he
I've
doing?
been living out here for 50 years. I've never seen a homeless man set up. And this is my sister-in-law's house, that's my father-in-law's house, and I live next door. Okay, so I'm basically responsible for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a homeless man sit up here.
I can talk to him. Technically, he's on the sidewalk. He's on public property. Let me go talk to him and see what his deal is. Yeah, I've never seen this here before either.
That's his truck. So he ain't home.
See what he's doing. I'll see if I can figure it out. This is beautiful weather. Pretty good. How about you? Yeah. Yes. I'm just coming to check on you, make sure you're all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Appreciate that.
God bless the homeless vet. So you a vet?
You're Officer Fernandez?
Yes.
That's spelled Fernandez.
Nandez.
Okay, thank you. WM Fernandez. Okay. Yeah, my name is Jeff.
Are you a veteran?
I am, yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I come from a family of vets.
All right, cool.
So just anything going on today at all?
No, I'm
just out enjoying the weather.
It's cold.
Okay.
I'm just out doing
Well, when people call on you, we come out and we
understand
see
that.
what's going on. As far as I'm concerned, you're not out here asking for money or anything like that. You're just holding a sign on the sidewalk and you're voicing your First Amendment right.
And even if I was asking for money, it's still lawful.
So, do you have any questions for me at all?
No,
sir?
no, not at all.
Just want to point out there was really no need for the cop to speak to this guy at all. Like, you know what I mean? He spoke to the other guy who was complaining and told him the guy's acting within his rights. I imagine the cop has probably got a form to fill out where he has to do like an incident report or a contact report, and he has to say, yes, I made contact.
I love that you're, hold on. I love that you're watching Jeff Gray right now. I wish I could stay, Brody. I have to go. It's terrible.
That's all right. That's all right. I've got to go pretty soon anyway. I was kind of hanging around at this stage because you were still here.
No, I'm pretty sure you got this debate wrapped up anyway. Although, of course, the chat always wins. So
yeah.
You're gonna have to contend with them, and I don't know what to do about that, Brody. But no, this has been fun. I was really happy to come up here and put my little 2 cents into it, and I feel like I said that you're gonna absolutely destroy it. I will make sure to tune in.
Yeah, thanks, man, and thanks for coming up. I really appreciate having your real world experience input on it.
Absolutely. All right, brother, man. Till next
See
time.
you around, man. Take care. So it's just me hanging out now. And honestly, I was starting to fade a little bit. Not due to the conversation, just as I mentioned at the start of the show, I got the bug, boys. I got the bug. Yeah, so yeah, Clay, if you're listening, I mentioned at the start of the show that I have a bit of a flu, if you know what I mean. So I've got a few days off work, but I'm starting to feel a little tired as a result of that. Nothing too serious, not too bad. So probably a good time to wrap this one up and maybe go and lie on the couch and put on the YouTubes and see who's up, who's doing what. And if I'm feeling a little bit better later on, I might even get back up on there and join someone's panel and say g'day. So thanks, guys, for dropping into the chat. It's always good to see you. Sorry I couldn't directly address everybody. Was involved in a pretty engrossing conversation with Clay. We've had some interactions that didn't really have the opportunity to go that deep into a conversation. So I appreciated his input onto this topic. And let's wrap up. Let's chat seems to have calmed down, if you know what I mean. And yeah, we'll call that one a wrap. I think everything's wrapped up. Once again, thanks for dropping by. Always appreciate you guys coming around. And I'll be back. God bless everyone.